Hey, Jonas Funston here, team lead of the Epic Phoenix Real Estate Group and founder of Phoenix Relocation Source here in beautiful sunny Arizona. Here today with Bill Beck over at Evolve Vacation Rental. He is a new home buyer consultant, pretty new role to Evolve. I've personally been working with them for the past 4.5 years or so, and work pretty closely with Bill, both kind of volleying clients back and forth, depending on kind of where they are in their vacation rental purchase experience or management experience, that sort of thing. Our team is based here in Metro Phoenix. We're in our main office is in Chandler and Gilbert, and satellite office in Scottsdale. So we specialize in relocation services, people looking to move to the Metro Phoenix area. We do a ton of stuff with people that are doing, looking to buy and acquire a second home, coming from colder climates and, high tax areas. And we do a ton of stuff in the investment real estate space, and more specifically with vacation rentals. And Evolve has been a valued partner for myself and my team for a while now, and super excited to have Bill. Bill, can you kind of jump in and, let us know kind of what specifically your role entails at Evolve?
Absolutely. Thanks, Jonas. I'm a new home buyer consultant. My name is Bill Beck, and I'm a new home buyer consultant here at Evolve Vacation Rental. Our service at a very high level is a management company that works with people who own vacation rentals. So in my role, I work with people who are looking to enter the space from the very beginning. So they do not have any type of property yet, or looking to acquire any type of real estate, condo, townhome, single family home to start with as a vacation rental. So our service works with 13,000 properties all over the country. So where are the areas this works good? Where are the spots it doesn't work out so good?
Right.
And what are the types of money these people are making? Because if there's a buzz around vacation rental,
Sure.
you want to know, how do you become successful doing this?
HGTV and all these real estate shows have kind of made it mainstream. So it kind of, there's almost like a sexiness to it now, right?
Whereas, definitely.
It's the landscape has completely changed. You know what I mean? Since I've been involved with it.
It's blown up. It's definitely mainstreaming. That's something that
mainstream for
sure all the time. And this is the fourth big travel category for growth, right? I mean, there's
absolutely
cars, they're there, airplanes, hotels, but what's this fourth one? This is vacation rental. So
absolutely, yeah. Well, I kind of got started with it myself, firsthand as a guest. We were taking a trip to the Washington, want to go up in Seattle, Olympia area. And this is when it was kind of in its infancy. I think, I know VRBO was out, but that was pretty much the only major, platform at that time. And so we had two little kids. My son was in, a stroller, and I just thought about the chaos and the expense of going and doing a hotel and not having a kitchen and being there for, a week, and, going out to dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and paying hotel rates and this, that, and the other thing. And then having to, quietly turn the TV down so I could watch TV while everybody else is sleeping next to me, and, just kind of that sort of nightmare. Right. So, so that was kind of our first experience, and we rented, some places out there, and super cool. I mean, you're just like literally in the heart of everything, and really get to immerse yourself in kind of, whatever market you're vacationing or business traveling and that sort of thing. And it was just way more cost effective, so from that point forward, that was kind of, our method of travel, and then, fast forward, here in Phoenix, for those who've been under a rock for the past 10 years, when we had the huge market crash and everything was on, half off on discount out here, I was working with a ton of investors, and kind of around, the time when the market started to bottom out, 2011, 2012, a lot of the investors were actually second homeowners. And a lot of them weren't really familiar with the vacation rental space. They were coming out here, they just saw the deep discounts on these properties, and we're buying a place, and I would have kind of the conversation with them, and they'd be like, oh yeah, we're just going to use it for, I'm not retired yet, so I'm only going to use it for, a month out of the year. Which seemed insane to me. I'm like, you're going to buy a place, take on a mortgage, because all of them weren't cash, pay your, HOA and maintenance fees and pool costs.
Just sit there.
And let it sit vacant. I'm all, this is insane. Yeah, this is insane. So just kind of starting those conversations and changing the mindset of people, and just kind of, like, hey, have you thought about the vacation rental space? And, whether you're not looking at it from a true investment opportunity, but looking at it as an offset cost opportunity. And that's kind of what, shifted me into this space on the real estate front. And then obviously as it got more mainstream, obviously kind of investors got in the game. So I'd love to hear about Evolve and kind of, you know, what your guys' differentiator is. I know there's a lot of management companies out there, and, you know, I made the mistake the first, 4 or 5 months. I'm in real estate. I'm like, oh, I'm going to manage my own property. It's simple, no big deal, right? And quickly learned what a waste of time that was, and that was not cost effective and was not time beneficial for me. So if you could kind of deep dive on that, that would be awesome.
Definitely. Great point with the whole, how do you first learn about vacation rentals? I remember the first time staying at a VRBO, or Verbo as it's called now, with my cousin for his bachelor party because he wanted to go deep sea fishing down in Key Largo. I was like,
nice.
Stay at a house and cook in the kitchen, like this is awesome. So that's really how I found out about Evolve, as we're headquartered in Denver, Colorado, and I'd moved to Denver and saw that this business was in the industry of vacation rentals, and really intrigued me because based on what we do is we're headquartered here in Denver, but we work with 13,000 vacation rentals all over North America. So with our hybrid business model, we help out anyone who's looking for essentially be hands off, save them time, and save them money, because the alternatives are to do this all yourself or to go with expensive property manager. So that's why Evolve is here, is because we only charge 10% for the bookings, and we're, with getting set up with our local service providers, we basically can be a full service management solution for doing this at the best value out there. And then with regards to Phoenix, it's actually our largest metro area that we have properties in. So we have more properties in Phoenix as a metro area than any other place that we work in. So Jonas, what do you think? What makes it tick there in Arizona or Phoenix? What's the secret sauce?
The secret, well, it's awesome here. Hence the name of our team, Epic Phoenix, right? So we love it here, man. We love living here. We're fortunate that we're cheap airfare or drive from a lot of locations, and a lot of the people that come here, especially peak season, are kind of your snowbird crowd. So I always laugh at the weather. I'm watching the Weather Channel. I'm looking, and we're shorts and flip flops, and everybody else is getting
dumped on up here in Denver.
Yeah, exactly. Like just winter bombs, and just 2/3 of the country is just a train wreck. And I look outside, I'm like, oh yeah, another blue sky day. So 200 golf courses. We've got every major sport represented. We got spring training out here. We got the auto auctions. We've got killer restaurants, outdoor activities. I mean, your short drive to Sedona, the Grand Canyon, Mexico, all these places. So Phoenix has been a hub, has been a snowbird destination forever. But it's interesting to see the demographic shift, because I remember, my, idea of what Phoenix was like prior to moving here, there was just, a bunch of older people, retiring and that sort of thing. And the median age here, it's a very young crowd. And even the vacation rental travelers, guys like you, maybe not, deep sea fishing trips, but golfing trips, sports trips, that sort of thing. So,
yeah, one thing too, I want to mention too, is like we're seeing in the industry, a lot of these larger city areas have introduced regulatory restrictions, which is really the buzzkill for vacation rentals. So Los Angeles, Chicago, New York City, love those places, but it's
Tahoe, Nashville,
South Lake Tahoe, Portland. I mean, you start to name off these bigger cities, then you look at Arizona and Phoenix and the benefits of a state that allows it, and it's obviously working.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a very forward-thinking governor, I'd say. Prior to becoming the governor, he was the CEO of Cold Stone Creamery, so he has a very business, mindset. So he's very friendly with the shared economy. Obviously, with the vacation rental market, we're one of the biggest hubs for autonomous vehicles and that sort of thing. So he was kind of instrumental in really opening the floodgates, if you will, to ease the restrictions that we had here, because similar to a lot of the other areas, you would have certain cities or municipalities that would kind of, put restrictions on vacation rental, Sedona being one of them. Up until a couple of years ago, 0 vacation rentals in Sedona, right? So he passed a bill here, Senate Bill 1350, and that kind of changed the landscape, because that essentially stripped the cities from being able to put restrictions on vacation rentals, and it just made a popular vacation rental space that much more attainable for people looking for second homes, vacation rental properties. It's, shifted a little bit, that was 2016, and a little bit more of the Wild West. So they have kind of introduced, some, where they want to obviously capture some of the rental tax and that sort of thing, the bed tax, if you will, that the hotels get. But upside of that is your guests pay for that. So it's not even really a cost, to the owner and that sort of thing. And, getting away from, just, people perceiving that they're going to have party houses, in their neighborhood and that sort of thing. And they're going to be like, out of control. So, they put stuff in place with that to kind of be able to, restrict that sort of rental. But for the most part, for the other 90% of the rental space, it's green pastures out here, baby. Green pastures.
Yeah, and we're aware of that with Arizona. It's pretty much like you said. Everything you've said is accurate. So we just look out pretty much for HOAs. HOAs or any type of condo association that would put any type of 30-day minimum restriction or anything that would prevent an owner from renting it out as a vacation rental, because the whole benefit for doing vacation rentals is that nightly rate advantage where you can get 2x, 3x, which you normally get for a long-term rental. So people are getting, 30% occupancy in some cases in the course of the year, and they're getting more money net than they would with a long-term rental, and they're not even having as much wear and tear in the home.
Yeah. And that's kind of where we come into place, I think, you know what I mean? Like, boots on the ground, if you will, right? Like having partners in like our market, Phoenix, and then you obviously have other agents like us in other markets, but that really know the areas and kind of know the hot spots as far as where going to be the performing areas, where they're vacation rental friendly or not. Because even though there is, restrictions with certain HOAs out here, some of them are vacation rental friendly. It's funny, I've had communities out here where the president of the HOA, actual members of the HOA own vacation rental properties, right? And so, no big deal. And then the other end of the spectrum, right, where you go there and you got, the gal walking in, checking in, asking people where they live at the pool and trying to crack down. So mission critical, kind of knowing what areas to buy, where you're going to get the best performance and where you're not going to run into kind of those.
And that's where I rely on realtors like yourself, because people ask me, well, what are the ones that work? And I'm like, I don't know, because I have to work in all 50 states and each of these nuances to every different area that we work in. That's very valuable due diligence to go through. And I would say if anyone wants to do this, you have to do that, because you could end up getting the short end of the stick and it could really hurt.
Yeah. Maybe I'm a little biased here, because I own several vacation rental properties, but, there's not a ton of challenges. Obviously that's kind of the big one, I'd say, and obviously market specific, you know what I mean? But on your end, what kind of other challenges or objections, or what are maybe some common questions that you see when people are reaching out to you directly? Because a lot of times, these aren't seasoned investors or seasoned second homeowners. So, they're starting from, they're green and they're starting from ground zero.
The big thing to understand is everyone's numbers focused, but sometimes they don't understand what are the right questions to ask. So the two metrics that are key for vacation rentals are occupancy and what are the dollars per night, or what we call in the industry average daily rate that you're getting for those nights booked, because it doesn't matter what you're getting booked out at if the price isn't right, but it doesn't matter what your price is if you're not getting any bookings. 100%. So with that being said, understanding the seasonality curve for the market and saying what times are you getting your bookings? Are you cash flowing month to month to month? Is it a winter peak like Phoenix? Is it a summer peak? Is it a all year long you're getting bookings? Or is it Cape Cod where you're getting 14 weeks and then it just sits vacant? So having an understanding of how many total days in the course of the year and what are the dollar amounts you're getting for those nights booked is key, because that is where you can back into everything else. So we don't understand all the nuances of expenses, because that's something that's really challenging. It's like, okay, what is your insurance going to be in this particular area? What is your, if you're in like a hurricane or a flood zone, or what is your pool maintenance fee? So those are things that I can't go out and research on behalf of everyone just because of the volume, but do my best to say, hey, using the back end information of what you could potentially earn, and then subbing out all the expenses and the mortgage, debt service, all that, to really factor into is this in the green? Is it break even, or is it in the red? What's it going to look like? So that's really what's kind of the key point I want to convey in every single conversation I have.
So we get that a lot too. And I think it's kind of a good volley when we're working with clients. You know, a lot of times when we're evaluating properties for clients, we kind of do a deep dive because everybody's different. You know, sometimes people are coming here and they're like, look, I'm going to be, you know, I get the guys are like, hey, I want to come out and use it, you know, January through April and then rent it off season. I'm like, perfect. Well, you just ate up, you know, all your best months,
Right.
you know, so, but, you know, we can offset some of that, of course. And then you get the guys, it's only an investment property. What's my cap rate? What's my ROI? Kind of numbers. More so than not, you know, I think we get kind of somebody in the middle. And so when we're looking at these properties, we kind of identify, like, you know, what areas are important to you? Will you be using the property or not? Is this an investment? And then I'll run not only resale comps on the property to make sure that the value's there on whatever the property we're acquiring, but I'll also run long-term rental comps. And the reason why I do that is not because, you know, to shift directions or anything like that. But I always, when I'm evaluating investments, I was like, okay, worst case scenario, this goes sideways, or you're not getting the performance you want. What does that look like? Does this thing still break even or pencil, you know, or make sense for you? And then obviously with the metrics that you guys have, you know what I mean, with all the data with the short-term rental stuff and kind of occupancy and average rental rates and performance and that sort of thing, we're able to volley that to you guys and kind of get those numbers and kind of compare the two. And they're like, you know, this is a really great property. And then a recent trend that we've been seeing a lot of is, you know, third year consecutive, Phoenix is the #1 relocation market in the U.S. There's more people moving here than anywhere else. So we are able to kind of help offset some of the slow periods, right? So a lot of times the rental doldrums, if you will, where, you know, come summer months where, yeah, they're going to get bookings, but it's certainly not going to be the volume or the rate of the peak season. And we can kind of help supplement and fill, you know, some bodies in there to offset that expense so they can kind of boost occupancy and revenue and that sort of thing. So it's kind of a unique market in that sense. And it definitely helps, you know, kind of get more, I guess, creative with, you know, how these things work and operate, plugging people in who are moving from out of state, maybe want to buy a place themselves, or we get a ton of, you know, traveling nurses and that sort of thing. So I think just a complement between the two works really well.
Yeah, and I think it's really key. Like, I'm going to double down on what you just said, because to understand that in this Phoenix market, if you have a vacation rental, May, June, July, August, September are likely going to be 0 to maybe 5% occupied. So it is worth maybe an alternative strategy of renting it to, as Jonas mentioned, these traveling nurses or people looking to relocate, because those will be really slow times of the year. That's a very across the board statement, because we do have some very successful properties that we've worked with that have powered through that just because they're such an attractive property. And I think those are the three things I want to touch on, is the 3 pillars of what I think are successful vacation rentals. So first of all, understanding where within the market. So obviously, as the saying goes, location, location, location.
Of course.
Same thing for vacation rentals. Do you want to be in Scottsdale? Get those people that are looking to go out and golf. Maybe the group of 4 guys want to get a 4-bedroom house, split it up so they can, you know, hit the links and then have their own room when they get back. And then you get people that are, you know, different parts of the metro. Like, what are some other types of demographics that you'll see, like, let's say Mesa or Gilbert? Or
so what I see here is there's we kind of have 4 segments of our market, I'd say, that kind of utilizes this space. So the one is your traditional true snowbird traveler. You know, this is usually somebody that's maybe coming down from Canada, somebody's coming from Minnesota, really cold, miserable climates, usually retired, almost always retired, you know, older couples. And a lot of times they'll come down and stay for months. I mean, it's not unusual for them to stay for, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 months at a time. They're literally down here for the season. They're not as reliant on the location per se. They're more budget conscious, right? So they're okay being in some of the outlying areas, you know, of the area, and don't have to be in the core Scottsdale or Phoenix or Tempe or that sort of thing. They're more going to be, hey, I'm going to be here for 4 months. This is going to get expensive. And then we've got, you know, travelers like myself, a little younger, have families, maybe buddies with golf trips that are coming out. You know, they're doing the, you know, 3-day, 5-day, 1-2 week stuff like that. The other segment of our market is the relocation client. You know, they're coming out here, sold their place in California, sold their place in Chicago, New York, you know, got suitcases full of cash, you know, and don't want to get into a long-term rental. You know, they don't want to come here and lock up a 12-month lease, and they want to come here. They want to get the lay of the land, maybe take a month, 2, 3, those are ideal. Those are all off season, tennis.
So
And then,
the one thing I want to point out too is like with Phoenix, I don't think it's as sensitive as some other markets. So,
right.
for example, some of these beach markets that are in Florida,
Yep.
if you're more than a quarter mile off the beach, you're not going to get bookings. So
Right.
with Phoenix, I mean, we have from Southern Chandler all the way up to, I mean, what is it? All the way up into Carefree. I mean,
Right.
it's like a massive spread.
That's an hour drive, no traffic. Yeah.
The sensitivity isn't as extreme for this area. So then the second big thing to factor in always with my three pillars is the occupancy, or the number of people your property can sleep, because generally speaking, there's a curve of, as the property gets larger, it's harder to get bookings. So it's harder to get the logistics of groups of people to figure out the same calendar dates that they want to go, and it's going to go up in price. So how are we going to split up the money? So it gets a little more challenging to book those, but it's not always the case. In fact, there's a thing I'll point out here with the 4 bedrooms here in a second. Occupancy actually goes up, but as my general rule of thumb goes, larger the property, there's more upside. So you might not get as many regular occupants, but you could play with your rate a whole heck of a lot more. You can get $400, $500, $600 a night in some cases easily. Whereas if you have a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom condo, you can't do that. There's just the economics of it just do not work out.
Right. $80, $120, $150 if you're lucky a night. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. I've got a mutual client, that we've worked with. He came out here from the Midwest, kind of was looking for that golf property, a couple years older than me, but not much. And kind of using the formula that we talk about, right? The 4-bedroom, ideally, 2.5, 3 bath if you can, and then heated pool, right? And then good location. So his house cleaner, who actually does cleanings for my vacation rental, she always jokes and calls his the house of many beds, right? Because he's got the master with the king, the second bedroom with the king or queen, and then he's got the 2 beds with the twins or doubles or whatever it is, and then he's got the pull-out couch, and it's just like, but his bookings are just through the roof. I mean, he's like, he'll call me and he's like, hey, I was thinking about coming out, but we're booked. You know what I mean? And then he just called me last week. His brother-in-law's looking for a place now.
Summer of 2019, every single weekend booked, which you see compared to other types of properties. That's just, it's wild. Which the thing that I want to touch for the third final pillar is he did the qualitative aspect, all the things that people want in that experience of their vacation rental when it comes to, pool tables, game rooms, pool outside in the backyard, heated, air conditioned, fun areas, all the things that you expect in your head. I want to go to this place because it has all these things. So anyone I'm consulting on is always factoring into your budget. What are those things that you're gonna build into and create for your vacation rental that's gonna make it a special experience that people are gonna want to book, because you're gonna be competing with this for however many years. You might as well get this off and start it at the highest level. I mean, because people are going to continue to enter the industry, and the more you can do on the front end to make it a competitive, attractive place to stay, something that you want to stay at, is something that guests will want to stay at.
Exactly. You touched on a great point, and that's kind of why I say, people, concerned sometimes are like, well, what if it gets oversaturated, or, isn't there a bunch of hotels and resorts? And I'm like, yeah, and they're still building more, because more and more people are coming here. I mean, we just had the sale of the JW Marriott up in Desert Ridge, was north of $800 million. So clearly when properties are trading at that dollar amount, there's still an upside. But, the point being, what are the differentiators for your property? I always say, put yourself in the guest's shoes, right? Think of your listing your property. So what is going to differentiate your property versus the one across the street? So I want to see
having a pool in Phoenix is crucial. I mean,
I've
seen the dollar swing. I don't have it right in front of me, but it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for someone that has either access to a private pool or community pool versus those that do not, because there's such a large amount of people. This state and then the state of Florida, having not having a pool is a deal breaker.
And even having like little, additional touches, like buy a used set of golf clubs on Craigslist and have a complimentary set of golf clubs and pool toys. And like you said, pool table, like little stuff where it's a slightly larger investment, but relatively nominal compared to the upside in bookings that you're going to have, and, increase in occupancy and being able to demand, a dollar higher, or a higher dollar amount, I should say. If I'm looking to travel and I'm looking at 2 properties and this has all these goodies for my use, like jump on a beach cruiser and go in Old Town and, grab a beer and some wings and head back, I'm going to book that all day over the other ones, right? So little tweaks, little touches.
And if people aren't creative themselves. They just want to emulate what's already successful. Pro tip is just go to VRBO, go to Airbnb.
Right.
What are the properties that they're showing at the top of the list?
Right.
There's a conversion metric that they're using because those places are being successful, and it's like Amazon, just like Google. They're showing the ones that get bought the most at the top of the search results. So what are they doing qualitatively speaking? Granite countertops, stainless appliances, swimming pool, nice flat screen TVs, leather furniture. It's like you tick all the boxes. Like chances of you having an unsuccessful vacation rental just go down. So
it's called do your R&D, right?
Correct.
And duplicate. You know, rip off and duplicate. So can you kind of give us like some rough numbers? And I know every property is different. You know, people contact me, they're like, well, what can I expect in rents? This, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, you know, are we looking at a 1-bedroom condo? Are we looking at a mansion on the side of Camelback Mountain? I mean, maybe use, you know, Chris's property as an example. You know what I mean? Just kind of performance. And obviously not every property is going to, you know, perform like that, but he followed the playbook. And I don't think it's that far off to, you know, create opportunities like that.
So I think there's people that are based on their budget. You want to be sensitive, right? Because I don't want to sway anyone away from doing something.
Sure.
What do you think like the entry budget dollar amount would be? Because we go down to studios and 1-bedrooms and for condos. So I mean, I'm just curious. Do you know what are the values there that are something that would be vacation rental-able?
Yeah, vacation rental worthy is obviously going to be, you know, they're going to be in more desirable areas. So I would plan on, you know, a budget of it, you know, at least, you know, 200,000 would be reasonable. And I mean, it can go up much higher than that, but that'll get you in an area, in a neighborhood that you're not going to have this massive mortgage, or if you're buying cash, it's not sucking up all your available cash.
What do you think the sweet spot is?
I'm sorry?
The sweet spot. Like, what do you think the
sweet spot for purchase? Well, obviously, I call Scottsdale our blue chip stock, right? That's gold over there. You know, stuff in that area, nice property, you know, with a pool and some decent updates. You know, it's going to be, you know, around $500,000. It's going to be around 500,000. But I mean,
that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm glad you were thinking that too.
But I mean, we've had some great performing properties that were, you know, 300,000, right? But I think that's the sweet spot for sure.
Yeah. So I wanted to share like the numbers we got. We got these vacation rental performance reports, which I can obviously have you show up on the screen. And you know, for our 1-bedrooms and 2-bedrooms, it's like, you know, 10,000 to 15,000, or 12,000 to 17,000. So that's deep, you know, kind of nothing really exciting. But the 3-bedrooms, it's a pretty decent uptick from around, you know, 19,000 to 28,000. But from a 3 to a 4, we see it up to 37, up to 55. So that is a massive leap when you look at it on a graph. And you're like, that's like incredible. And then with the case study of the gentleman that we both worked with, I mean, he got started, I think it was December of last year. So just a full calendar year, he's already over 80,000 in bookings. I can't share the exact number from privacy, but over 80,000 in state income. So. And what did he pay roughly for that?
We got that for about $5 250,000. And then I think all in, he's definitely under 550. You know, with furnishings and with all the goodies and the closing costs and this, that, and the other thing. But it was like right out the gate. You know, when he came out and was visiting, you know, a lot of times when people are buying, they're trying to time the market. I'm like, hey, November, December, it's already starting to cook, right? So let's get this baby turned in on the market quick, and that way we can kind of really capture the peak. You know, January to April, he did it and jumped in there and got it done. And I mean, in a year, right? So I'm year over year, at least on my particular, you know, property and other clients' properties, you just see that compound. So I've been seeing growth year over year. So
and then across the board, just like I mean, obviously again, we could share the screenshots of the percentages, but I think for people's understanding of like the occupancy rates that are good, you want to get, I think anything less than 20% is really hard to make it work for occupancy in the course of the year. It's just like,
for sure.
I mean, what's that? Like 70 days, 75 days, anything less than that, you're just, it's really, you are struggling. Then if you're getting into that 30% range, 30% maybe to 50%, you're sitting good. Anything above 50%, I mean, you're doing well. You're doing really, really well.
For sure. So kind of rounding off towards the finish here, what sort of trends do you see? You know, obviously shifts in the market. You got some big players kind of getting in the game. Obviously, you guys are a huge organization. You know, it's kind of shifting away from more of the one-off owners kind of, you know, trying to do this on their own. What do you see there?
A shift to professionalism and hospitality-oriented, you know, travel, as this is hospitality industry at the end of the day. So
they're mini hotels.
Yeah.
They're mini hotels, so treat it like one, right?
So the day and age where people are managing their own VRBO listing, Airbnb listing, everything's gonna get more competitive.
Yeah.
So if you want to compete, you have to spend more time, you have to spend more research, you have to get professional photography, you have to absolutely make sure you're getting back to your guests within 15 minutes, if not half an hour. If you're going out, so it makes it a huge demand as an owner. So either going with professional property management or a service like Evolve, where you know we can help you out with that. That's really what people expect, because they go along and they expect this experience. Then they start to associate brands with an experience. People think of vacation rental as Airbnb, or think of it as VRBO. Obviously good and bad. So with that being said, as this continues to develop, there's going to be some professionalism that's going to be required to be successful, in addition to having a property that just, bottom line, fits the bill for what people are looking for. So, you know, check-in experience is streamlined, you know, no challenges. There's a welcome book. Everything's laid out. Everything's straightforward. Great communications if there's any issues. The house has all the, you know, nice pots and pans and the fresh beds that people want. So when they go home and they have these experiences for a lifetime, it's something pleasant that they want to remember, and not the opposite.
Yeah. Go spend money on the soft stuff. You know, we do, you know, plush mattresses, high thread count, you know, sheets, good towels, you know, all the way down to the toilet paper. It's so funny when I look at the reviews, the stuff that people like get like excited about. They're like, oh my God, I slept better in, you know, that bed than even at home. And, you know, somebody commented on the toilet paper, and I thought that was odd, but it was like just a little touches above and beyond makes a huge difference as far as
the kitchen too.
Client's experience.
The kitchen's the difference between hotels and a vacation rental. If you've got really nice sharp knives, people are like, wow, I don't have sharp knives at home. I can get some, or really high-end pots and pans, and they're cooking all these nice things. I mean, that really makes the difference. So
cool. Well, this was awesome. A lot of great information covered here. We're going to put both of our contact information below, but if somebody wanted to kind of reach out and get the ball rolling and you know, start dialoguing with you or Evolve, what's the best way to reach you? And just kind of in summary, what sort of, you know, resources can they find, like on the website, or they could expect to for you to send them?
Yeah, there's great research for our blog. If you want to get, I could send a link to our blog. There's a lot of articles on where the good markets, where, you know, how to appoint your home, what are the top profitable amenities that you want to consider adding. So I could add that to get started with Evolve. It's very simple. We get in touch with one of our team members here. They'll go through a qualification process. Just make sure that we bring on a house that's going to work. We can't work with, for example, someone who's got a tree house, or someone who's got a bedroom they want to rent out. We can't do that because we have all these other platforms that require a certain minimum standard. So, but once everything's good to go for that property, we have the person fill out a 20-minute form to plug in information on how they make their payments, fill out some information about themselves and the house as far as the house rules and things like check-in times and so on and so forth. And then at that point, once it's ready to go, it's furnished, it's guest ready, as we call it. We'll send out our professional photographer, and within 2 weeks, we'll try to get that listing activated.
Cool. Perfect. Pretty simple. So awesome. Well, appreciate the time today. Like I said, we'll put up contact information. That way people could reach out, kind of get the ball rolling. But, you know, I think both you and I are a little biased, but obviously you can kind of tell from our level of excitement. This is stuff we, you know, eat, breathe, sleep, you know what I mean? And you know, I just bought another vacation rental myself here, you know, just 3 weeks ago. So, you know, obviously, you know, something that I'm passionate about, and I know that works. So look forward to it. And thanks for your time today, Bill.
Thanks so much, Jonas. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too. Take it easy. All right. Bye.